Let's do this thing. So we'll have LMR Live begins in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to LMR Live Virtual Edition. I am Nancy Maria Balach, Artistic Director for the Living Music Resource. We at LMR hope that you are staying healthy, and we are very excited to be sharing our programming with you again via the internet. So this broadcast is part of LMR's 4th annual intensive program for emerging artists, the Living Music Institute, and I have the pleasure of co-directing this program with my colleague Amanda Johnson. This year, we received an unprecedented amount of applicants, spectacular, and we again approach this institute from the perspective of the performer and the entrepreneur. We have participants from 6 different states and 2 countries. This year, our participants are competing for 2 prizes, a performance prize and an entrepreneurial pitch prize. This year, very exciting, we have 2 spectacular guest artists with us, Lucas Meachem and Irina Meachem, who have been working with our participants and also judged the performance competition. So are you ready for some edutainment? Are you ready to be entertained? Are you ready to be educated? Because I sure am. Let's meet one of our guests for tonight. First, let's hear a little bit about Lucas Meachem. Lucas is a Grammy Award-winning baritone and one of the most accomplished in-demand singers of the moment. He has captivated audiences around the world with his, quote, earnest, appealing tone from the New York Times and his, quote, commanding presence, San Francisco Chronicle. And my favorite quote, he is a rock star of opera from Opera Pulse. Named the winner of San Francisco Opera's inaugural Emerging Star of the Year award in 2016, Lucas performs regularly with the Metropolitan Opera, San Francisco Opera, Dallas Opera, Chicago, Minnesota, Vienna, Paris, Berlin, the list goes on, and he's here with us at LMI. So let's put our hands together from wherever you are. Give a big round of applause and help me welcome Lucas Meachem.
Hi. What an intro.
I wish I could hug you.
I know, me too, Nancy.
Wonderful to see you. Thank you for being here. And the buzz with these participants about what they've experienced and learned from you today is phenomenal. So I thank you.
Well, absolutely. It's been a pleasure working with all the amazingly talented singers for this competition. And I have to say, not a one of them didn't take my thoughts and my ideas and fly away with them. I was so impressed with not only where they started, but where they ended up as well. So bravi tutti to everyone involved.
And you know, that's such a key point, because I think it can be so difficult to jump in and have that open mind, be open to the perspective. So that's really refreshing to hear that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
I want to kick off with a very specific question. You may be tired of talking about this, but I want to hear the details. So, you know, according to Wikipedia, You grew up singing karaoke, right? And you were discovered your big break, so it goes. And I've read in other sources that you had your big break after in 2006 you were discovered singing karaoke in Paris when acclaimed mezzo-soprano Susan Graham heard you. Would you just tell us a little bit about this? Because I have such a visual in my head.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you know, I began singing way before 2006, and so I'd been to 3 universities for 8 years at that point. I'd been through the San Francisco Young Artist Program, so I wasn't just someone who was just randomly singing at a karaoke,
No.
But I found myself in Germany with some time off, so I flew to Paris to see some friends. And those friends happened to be Susan Graham, Paul Grove, Simon Keenly-Side, Simon O'Neill, Toby Spence, really a who's who of opera now, back when they were, up and comers. And so we were bored in Paris, decided we'd go out for karaoke. It's my first time in Paris. At that time, my French was terrible. I'd never been to Paris first time. And I did, however, know really well how to sing karaoke. So I thought, yeah, I'll sing karaoke in Paris. So I sang karaoke in Paris. Everybody was like, "Who is this kid?" And Susie heard me. And fast forward a few months later, there came a cancellation at the Chicago Lyric Opera, and Susie said, "I know this really good young baritone from Paris. I heard him sing there," to the general director, and saying, "Oh, you should maybe hire him for this role." And the director said, "Well, have you heard him sing?" He's like, "Yeah." He brought the house down. And in Paris, "Okay, what did he sing?" She said, "American Contemporary," and I was hired for the gig.
I love that so much on so many levels
Yeah.
because for me it embodies, there's so much study and practice and work that goes in. And then this came up in sessions today. And sometimes you think that the opportunity is going to be packaged so perfectly and obvious. And it often comes in the most obscure, unusual ways. But I can only imagine your personality shining through in that moment. Okay, very cool. Very cool. So I want to know, what is your favorite career moment so far?
Oh, there are quite a few to choose from. Honestly, I'm a big fan of being allowed into opera houses that are iconic places. So going into the Vienna Staatsoper to sing the title role of the Barber of Seville, and the Barber of Seville was a pretty iconic moment. But honestly, if I had to name one defining moment, it was singing the role of Billy Budd in Paris at the Opéra National de Paris, because that's where the karaoke story started. And I sang it about 5 years after that. And to go and sing such an iconic baritone role that is one of those roles that every baritone wishes they could sing and wants to sing and dreams of singing, and all of a sudden I'm doing it in one of the largest opera houses in the world. And to also have an opera in English, a British opera that disparages the French, and the French public go nuts for it. It was really amazing. It was an amazing match of the director, Francesca Zambello, the conductor, and the show, the house. And it's just one of those rare moments in opera where everything kind of comes together with the cast and everyone involved. And it was a great experience. It was my favorite, probably.
That's wonderful. Do you have a favorite role?
Well, I have to say Figaro in The Barber of Seville has definitely taken me all over the globe. So is Don Giovanni, the role of Don Giovanni. Yeah, so I mean, the roles that have given me the most, I feel like I need to give them back the same in the appreciation I have for them.
Got it. Is there any performance that you wish you could have a redo, and why?
Well, I just heard yesterday about some more cancellations due to COVID. So if I could take a redo on something I haven't even done yet, I'd take that. But if it was on
Let's do
something
a redo and eliminate COVID. How about
yes,
that?
yeah, okay, just that. Let's just knock on wood and it'll all go away. But if it's a gig I've done in the past, I'd probably say I had such a great time in London doing John Copley's last. So John Copley is a British director, and his production of La Boheme has been at the Royal Opera House for over 30 years. And they hired me to come and sing the last production of it before they changed it out for a new production. And I got to go there and sing it with Anna Netrebko, who's a great friend of mine, and Joseph Kalea, who's another great friend. And And was it Jennifer Rao? Who was my Musetta? I can't remember. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on my Musetta, but it was Marco Vinco. It was just an amazing cast. But also, we're all great friends, and so we all hung out and had a big time. And so I'd probably pull that one out of my pocket if I could.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I want to rewind back, reflect on your time when you were a student. And when you think about that time, is there any advice or key advice that you would give a student today over a course they should take, over an opportunity they should seek out, over something they should turn down? Like, what would be your advice to that student in school?
It's funny. I have like 5 things running through my head. I'm trying to pick one. I'd say
Well, do all five. Do all five.
The number one thing I'd probably pick out of the 5 things running around in my head is languages. If whether or not you succeed as an opera singer in the business, you can leave your master's or your undergrad or your doctoral program speaking another language, and that gives you a key to another world. And it also keeps your mind sharp in ways you never understand until you actually learn a second or third or fourth or fifth language, and just keep going with it. I mean, really, it's so important. Languages are really, they're the key to the world. And if you go to Italy and you speak in Italian to the cab driver or your colleagues or whatever, it shows a respect for that culture and those people that is really immeasurable. So that's a big one.
Great advice. Great advice. All right. I want to introduce your partner in crime. You have a wonderful partner for the personal life and the professional life. I love watching all that you guys do together. And let's talk about this person. Who am I referencing? I'm referencing Irina Meachem. First generation Romanian American pianist, regularly performs recitals and coaches. Hailed as a gifted collaborative pianist, Irina regularly performs with her husband, baritone Lucas Meachem. Irina has worked as a coach at opera companies and classical music festivals such as Palm Beach Opera, Sarasota Opera, Birmingham, Nashville Opera, and this wonderful list, just like Lucas, goes on and on. Will you help me welcome Irina Meachem? Hey, I feel like I like that slip in there. That was awesome, Irina.
Thanks.
How are you?
I am so great. I'm so happy to be meeting all of the singers and the pianist, and to enjoy their music and getting to know people, connecting in the only way we can now. So I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to meet all of you.
Well, I had the pleasure of listening to the session you led today, and it's just so refreshing to hear your thoughts, so beautifully articulated, and you have this warm graciousness about you while also being so direct. It was just fantastic. So thank you for that. We are very fortunate. I didn't ask this ahead of time. You can say no, but how'd y'all meet? Am I allowed to ask this question?
I love this story. This is like my favorite moment of my life. And just, it's like you never know what to expect. Just one day going to work and meeting who will be the biggest influencer, that have the biggest impact on your life. And those are the moments that are so defining. And I was working at Mill City Summer Opera here in Minneapolis as a repetiteur, and Lucas was singing Figaro. He showed up a week late to rehearsals because he had another engagement. So I was there working hard. I had to have an extra rehearsal for him, and I wasn't happy about that because I said, oh, more work for somebody who didn't show up on time. Yes. So, and I didn't know who he was. So he came in and he was wearing his sweatpants and this Carhartt hat. And I thought, is he here to move in the set pieces? Who is this guy? Is he here to tape the floors or to take it off? And he started showing me fishing pictures on his phone while I was at the piano. And I thought, I have to get ready for rehearsal. I don't have time to just sit here and chat. Then I noticed he was singing Figaro, and he started singing, and it was so beautiful. And I immediately got into coach mode. I have to ask him, how does he sing recitativo so Italian? how does he capture the style so well? How does he sing his high notes? I have to talk to him. And then immediately we all of the cast went out to eat right after that, and I noticed he was moving the chairs for all of the people to make sure everybody had a spot at the table. And at that moment, I thought, this man will make one woman very happy one day. Did not know that was going to be me.
Aww.
You knew?
No, I made one woman really happy.
You did. Yes, and
I thought he was gonna say he knew in that moment. Like I was like, oh, we're hearing it for the first time.
Well, I have to say, as you can just see looking at the extreme beauty next to me, that it was impossible to deny that she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen.
Oh.
So
yes.
there was that.
And then there was a lot of long distance. With any relationship in the arts, there's going to be long distance at some point. So so we got through it, and we've really found a way to make both of us fulfilled in our artistic life.
Well, and that's something I want to jump into. I mean, juggling life and career. It's are there any things you've discovered or any insights you want to share? I mean, how do you achieve a balance?
It's not easy, and if anybody makes it look easy, then I congratulate them because it's a
facade, honestly. If they make it look easy on social media,
yeah, it is a challenge. I think it's a challenge, and the challenges change.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's harder than others. Like when we met, and I was being a staff pianist, and I was kind of in that circuit. I wanted to have a relationship, and I feel like I couldn't have both. And we had a long distance relationship for some time, and then it came to the point where we realized we'd like to be together more often. So we made it work that I was with Lucas, and I really needed to find my identity in that way, because that's a very hard situation to be in, where I was depending on him with his schedule and with his career.
Totally.
I believed in him. I trusted him, and he's the most generous person I've ever met. So he made it as easy as possible for me to do it. But there's an emotional implication to that, and I had to discover a lot of things about myself, because I did define myself through my career. And once I started a different path, it was very hard to adjust. And then after a while, I thought, I can really make this what I want it to be. And I had to ask myself, what do I want from it? And I didn't let anything get in my way. So now we have a much better balance, because I needed that clarity to come through. And I think when you're pursuing something as big as a career, it needs to be so painfully obvious that that's what you want.
Totally. And I really like something that you said, that it adjusts. I mean, it's not like you decide something and then it stays forever. I mean, there are ebbs and flows, and there are different focuses and different priorities. And hopefully when you're with the right person, then that ebb and flow balances out, and you navigate it together. But that identity is, I think personally, really important. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that openness very much, very much. So another aspect is then having a child and, parenthood. How is, I mean, my gosh, I'm so impressed. I'm going to tell our viewers.
There he is.
Oh my gosh. So they've already blown me away, because they were able to successfully get their child to bed and then come to do this interview. And I'm like, what is the magic here? What is the magic?
The magic is intensive sleep training for the first few months of his life, and
not allowing yourself to sleep with your child every night like we wanted to. I'd love nothing but more than to sleep with him in the same bed, but
we never rocked him either. We kept him on a very strict schedule. That was one thing I was very dedicated about. That was something I needed. But the challenges of being a parent and being an artist, pursuing a career in the arts, is that it's you never really feel like you figure it out. You just keep trying every day to make it work. And some days are better than others, but you just have to get through that day. And then it's also very humbling, and it makes you a better person and artist to have something else in your life that you give so much to and gives back so much at the same time. but it's absolutely possible, and you can have it all.
I'd
It
like
does.
to add a caveat to that.
All right.
Yes. Yeah. We love that we're married. We love that we have Cash as our son. And but I have to say, there have been times in my career where if I was married or if I had a son, I wouldn't have been able to as easily jump at an opportunity that I was given for zero money or for very little money. I would have to make decisions based upon my family that might have stymied an opportunity that came along. You know, for instance, if I had to work a full-time job and then go to Palm Beach Opera to sing Papageno, I probably would have to turn that down. So, I mean, we got married 5 years ago, and my career had already taken off. Cash is now a year and a half, and so I was at a place professionally that I could have it all.
Yeah.
And I mean, knock on wood, have it all, whatever that means. You know, I'm not
Yeah,
saying.
because I was going to say, what does that even mean, right?
Yeah,
and that can vary so much person to person.
Yeah, well, it's that basically I could afford to have the lifestyle that I live, which is a very expensive one, simply because, you know, I pay for a home, I pay for another home while I'm working, and I pay for apartments all year round in other places. I pay every time I get to a place, I have to set it up as though it's the first day in a new home, which it is. So I have to go shopping and spend all sorts of money for. They might need a sharp knife or a cutting board or something. You know, it's just there's no end to the amount of preparation that it takes. And honestly, I love it. I love getting on an airplane. I love going to Target and shopping. I love all of it so much.
You love the adventure.
I love the adventure of it. Every time
it's very exciting.
I get
the hunt.
very excited.
Sounds like it's the hunt, right?
But that's part of it. That's part of it that people don't take into consideration until they're doing it. They're like, oh, wow, I hate plane travel. Or, man, I really miss my family. It's like, yes, you will. And yes, it happens, you know, and it precludes some people from even being able to enjoy the career once they have it. I have some friends whose names you would know who don't love this career, you know, and they're like, it's just so hard. I miss my family all the time. Oh, God, I hate to travel, you know.
No, but that's a really good point. And that's something I think needs to be discussed more, especially at the master's level. Like, what is the lifestyle, or I should even say rewind to the undergrad level, what is the lifestyle that you ultimately want, right? Because I think so many times people go through all the steps, they finally arrive, and they're like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Just
good
what
point.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I want to shift. I want to ask a question related to performing. How do you two manage your nerves? I mean, in performance or audition? I mean, Lucas, I don't think you ever appear nervous. Are you? I mean, I don't know.
No, I don't get nervous.
You don't get nervous?
And when I met Lucas and we started performing together, I hadn't learned a way to channel my nerves into productive energy. And it really came to a point where I was learning from Lucas how he does it, because he absolutely gets excited. He has a flux of energy come in, and I sense that because I know him really well. But he's taught me that you just don't have time to get nervous because you have so much to do.
Because you got to go to Target and find a knife. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, well, it's like when you're performing, you have to focus so much on creating the music and listening to each other that now I just don't have the time. I don't have the mental space for it, and then to not be so hard on myself.
I think another thing is that I find the more I prepare, I don't have a reason to be nervous, because I've prepared so much that, okay, of course it's going to go well. I've done it 1,000 times at home. You know, I have no reason to be nervous. I have no reason to expect that I'm going to all of a sudden crack or something's going to go wrong. So when things do go wrong on stage for me, I'm like, huh, what a weird thing. And so it's kind of, I'm amused by it rather than take it back. I'm like, huh, I just fell off the back of the stage in Madrid.
He's also someone, when he sees something not go according to plan on stage, he thrives. You see him react in a way like, oh, now the fun will start, and that enjoyment.
Now the honesty will start, because as soon as something goes wrong on stage, you're no longer doing the staging; you're living in the moment. That's what I think. It becomes an honest moment. There are times when I'll actually try to trip myself up on occasion, you know, where I'm like, oh, let me do this a little backwards and just see how it goes. You know,
Uh-huh.
it just little things, not anything big, but just enough
Right.
so that I'm thinking about it in the moment realistically.
I love that. I wish I could adopt more of that mentality. It's good. It's good. Well, I want to invite some very important people to join us in our Zoom right now. We have 10 fantastic LMI participants with us, and I want to invite them to turn on their cameras and also invite Brady Bramlett and Amanda Johnson to join us. Gonna come on in here. Look at these faces. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
So they're going to chime in with some questions for you two, if that's all right. And I want to ask Zoe, would you ask a question for us?
So my first question, I have two here. How do you obtain or develop recording opportunities? Besides those that come from productions, I'm curious how that happens for classical performers.
This is not talked about so often, and it's hard even for us because we didn't know where to start either, and this was a goal of ours, and we're very happy to share that we have an album coming soon. And so we just went through this, and it's crazy you're asking. And it's not really recommended to do. We were told by so many people, don't do it. It's expensive. You don't make anything back.
Albums don't sell.
They don't sell.
Yeah.
It's all for vanity. Yet we had a real passion, a higher cause in the album, which I can't reveal all the details about. And we set out to raise the money. So we had to pay for the upfront the bill. We had to get a producer. We had to find an engineer and a location.
Venue.
And we had to gather everybody.
7 days.
Yeah, we had to gather everybody into this venue. So
Piano
that's a
tuner,
lot of cost.
Assistant.
Piano tuner, yes. Publicity, I mean, it's very, very expensive.
Very expensive.
But it's possible. It is
possible.
It took us a lot longer than we thought because we didn't know it was so expensive and it was so consuming.
We learned a lot.
We did learn a lot, and it's and now I'm still happy that we did it and that it's going to be shareable very soon. So that's kind of how you go about it, and then searching for a label is its own thing. Yeah. So you are just using your connections to find a label, or you could self-produce it. That's an option too. And then hopefully after the first one comes out, Deutsche Grammophon calls you up and says, "Hey, we want you to be on our label." I mean, it's not a very exposed art a field in classical performing. So I'm really glad that you asked about it.
Yeah, when I spoke to my agent about making our first solo album, he said, don't. And he also said that the equivalent of that now is HD performances. That's what it is these days. So, I mean, the more you can be on performances that will be broadcast via HD from, I don't know, Madrid, the Met, London, Paris, they all do these, the better. So, yeah. What's your second question?
My second question is, do you feel your professional or musical branding strongly differs from your personal self? I guess this is to say an opera singer or collaborative pianist alter ego, or not so much?
That's a fascinating question.
Great question, Zoe.
I kind of want to know why are you asking? Not because I'm super happy to tell you. I just want to get to what it is that you're seeking.
All sorts of ulterior motives. No, it's really just entrepreneur idea is requires a level of very public vulnerability, and we've had ample discussion this weekend between all of us about how, as things stand, there are a lot of standards and expectations as to how we present and navigate the industry. And that can be really hard to do that. And I imagine stay true, perhaps for some folks, stay true and honest to who you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want you to be the one to answer this, but before you do, can I just say,
please.
I just want to say this one thing, and it kind of applies to this. Every time you are around people that can influence your career, you have to be the classiest version of yourself. And especially Americans. I have had auditions well, never mind, I'm not going to tell you where, but I've had multiple auditions where they said, he's just a little too American. And I don't know how that says he's not a good singer, he's not a good actor, he's not good looking, he's not whatever. It's that he's just too American. And what they mean by that is he's not that classy, and we think he won't handle himself that well if he's in front of the public, you know? So you have to already in an opera career become someone that might not be your goofball self or your party guy self or your reclusive self, whatever it is. You have to go out there and put on the person that you want them to see, that you want to project. Before any of this happens with social media, every time I go into rehearsals, I'm dressed to the nines. I look great. I'm very classy. I'm not completely open with everyone. I'm very nice. I'm very respectful. But I'm actually more standoffish than even like today. I was like, guys, great to see you, like, because it's Zoom and it's y'all have been fantastic. I'm not normally exactly that way. I'm nice and I'm kind and I have so many friends in the business, but I'm always a little standoffish and I try and keep it nice and classy because that's what's expected of you. So anyway, with regards to social media, I'll hand it over to my wife.
Yeah, and I do think it's exactly that, is that you can still be yourself, but it is the best version of yourself while having those moments of vulnerability, which are so important to changing the narrative for a lot of the things in our industry. Okay, so it can't just be all sunshine and roses and all that good stuff. Okay, like we do want to make a change. So when it comes to social media, I always, because Lucas and I do his social media, and I always try to think, you put yourself in your followers' position. What do your followers want to do? Every post is for followers. It's not for him. It's not his personal gain. It's either to entertain, to inform, or to evoke an emotion. Okay, yeah. So it can be any of those three. And what we try to do is to make a positive change, make a necessary change. Also inform people about what's happening, keep things current, and shedding some light on what it's like to be an opera singer. And again, it's all about the followers. So staying in touch with them, being open, accessible, but not, it's like a door, okay? It's not a wall. Like you can close that door if you want to. But again, putting his best version forward. I hope that answers your question. Yes? Okay.
Definitely. Thank you kindly.
Yeah. And I don't think of Lucas having a persona. I don't either. It is just like our opera side,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my sitting on the couch watching this cartoon my son loves called Trash Truck. It's not that. It's definitely the classier version of myself.
Got it. Well, this sort of ties to Emma Steiner, your question with about the HD component. Would you ask your question, Emma?
Yeah, of course. So my question is just because COVID kind of put everything online and we started to have this whole different platform, do you guys see the opera industry, once everything clears up, kind of throwing that away or just putting it back? Or do you see the trajectory of the opera industry changing and becoming a lot more in line with, let's say, the film industry?
Oh, like streaming services. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I what I see happening is that events like these of a competition where people can come together and just be in the comfort of their homes, like this, I feel like could happen even if it's not COVID, because it is so accessible to singers and to all of us, and then we don't have to bear the expense, which is immense for singers to travel to competitions. And I still feel like it's extremely productive. And there's so much that can be done. Yet there's nothing that can replace a live performance. And I mean, once the light is green, hopefully we can start filling theaters and have that experience again, because that's irreplaceable. But especially these educative, interactive programs, they're just so valuable. And And I think it's just the more accessible we can be in those terms is how I see it happening. And especially the conversational social media pieces. Those are extremely educational, just about the state of opera, and those are very enlightening. So I hope those keep happening. What do you think?
I think it's a saturated market, and it will become offered by companies, I'm sure, because they put too much money into building the foundation for these online performances. But it will never take the place of live performing, especially in opera, because we don't use microphones in opera. You know, it's like the reason we work so hard is to be able to send our voice to the back of the hall and have people at the end go, "Wow," you know, at the end of that hall. You know, so yeah, I think I don't think it'll be a huge part, but it will be a part.
Meredith, let's shift to a different perspective with your question.
Perfect. Hi. So my question is, what kind of hobbies or activities do you do that keep you feeling alive and joyful outside of music?
I love that. I think hobbies are so important for that, to bring perspective to what you're doing. Because, you know, we can be in the practice room and just practice one phrase so many times, and we sort of lose touch with what's outside, what's important, you know, and then we can come back and think and have like a more relaxed feeling about it. So that's great. Well, this week we took a little vacation from our son, our first time away, and we went skiing and we went snowmobiling, and it was such a great time. I loved it. I loved it so much. So that was fun. What else do we do?
I like rock climbing.
Rock climbing, yeah.
You work out a lot.
Yeah, I like my workouts. I like being able to feel strong, especially after having a baby. Is that I felt like I lost a lot of the strength of my body, so that's what I'm giving back to right now. We are with our son most days, so it's a lot of children's activities take up our time. Like this afternoon, we went outside and poured salt on the driveway and put it back.
Yeah. Oh, I like, if I can do anything that just like gets my mind off of the world, it's playing video games. I play this game called League of Legends, and I tried Fortnite for a while, but I never got really into it. But I love. Well, I'm an old school gamer, I guess you'd call me, because I
guess what these things do is they teach us not to take things so seriously. You know? And I love vegan cooking. That's like I love cooking, especially.
I love vegan eating.
Vegan eating, yeah. Yeah, and it's so relaxing. So great question.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith.
Bethany, will you ask your question about a bad performance?
Yes. Hi. My question is, how have you recovered in the past from a bad performance that has shaken your confidence, and what perspective do you have on it now?
Oh, I remember like the last one that I had was when we did a recital for Remorhora, Heritage of Romanian Americans.
Oh, yes. Here in
Minnesota. Yeah, and I had some distractions happening during the performance, and I couldn't focus. And I guess and Lucas has this, is that embarrassment that might come with it, and the embarrassment is what I had to let go of first and just treat it emotionless almost. Like, yes, that happened, and I put a smile on. I said, thank you so much to everybody who said great to me afterwards. So just like still putting on a smile, and because you're not done until you leave the building. So it's really important after performance, no matter how you feel, to greet everybody with a very, very big, gracious feeling and smile. So that was it. Yeah.
I've had different moments in my career where I'd say when I was younger, I'd have a bad night or a bad moment, and people would say, like Irina said, "Hey, bravo, it was fantastic." I was like, "Yeah, thank you." But I didn't, there's this one spot, and I tell them everything bad I did.
And they're like,
exactly.
I
They don't want to hear that. They're just like, take the compliment. And now I've learned just take the compliment.
Yeah, they probably haven't even noticed or heard you do that.
So Nancy, I alluded to falling off the back of the stage in Madrid at the Teatro Real. That literally happened, and I dropped about a page and a half of music because I fell off the back of a rake stage. It was like 3.5 feet tall.
Oh my gosh!
I went to the conductor at intermission. I said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I pulled the tenor down. I fell on top of the tenor. So like, we were both. The stage was empty for like 30 seconds.
Oh my God.
So I went back to the conductor. I said, "I'm so sorry, man. They didn't lock in the wheels of the thing I was supposed to lean against, and I pulled Klaus off the stage. I landed on him, and he said, 'What?'" I literally didn't sing for 30 seconds, and he didn't even notice. It was like a big part too. Didn't even notice. He's just down there flapping his arms. So it ain't that big a deal.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's a story. I'll bet you someone somewhere who was at that performance might be telling that story right now too. No.
Yeah, I asked my friends afterwards. We thought it was part of the show. It was a modern opera. It was this modern take on this opera. They're like, all right, I guess this is the part where he pulls the tenor behind the stage and jumps on him.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. I want to shift the focus back to social media for a second with Melanie's question.
Thank you. So my question is, what advice do you have about curating a social media presence that's relatable, professional, and also helpful?
I'll let you take this one.
That's a very good question, and I'm super passionate about it. So I'm going to try to answer it in a short amount of time. I don't know, how much time do we have? And I think that those are really great and you say relatable because what doesn't work is the self-promotion kind of post. Like, those are just so hard to connect with. And that's different than sharing good news with people you care about. It's a very fine line to get the feelings right. And I mean, there's only so much you can do in a caption, but I mean, those really have to be curated in a way that connect with your followers. Again, putting yourself in the follower's shoes. And you literally have to think, what does my follower do every day? What does he or she drink in the morning? What do they want in their lives? What are they pursuing? And then you can put yourself in their shoes so you know and you have to think about, why are you doing this social media promotion? Yeah, I think that's there's just a lot of questions that you can start to ask yourself these things. But if there's anything you feel unsure about posting, I would say no. And
no food pictures.
No food pictures. Yeah, so
unless you're a chef.
Yeah, so it's branding. So you have your brand, which is most likely going to be your music, and then your sub brands. So you can have something that
only one sub brand, though, right?
You can have two
max.
But it needs to be things that stick out and help you stick out in a sea of other accounts like yours. But the main thing is art, and another thing is post videos of yourself singing. I'll go on like singers' pages, and there's no videos of them singing, and I think I want to hear that. I want to hear them performing.
When I see that, I think they must be embarrassed of their voice.
Oh,
no! I think okay, you might not. No. I'm telling you what I think. I think that.
Yeah, because I don't have. On my social media, I don't have any because I do so much for Lucas. I get too tired to post mine. Yeah, so it's definitely not embarrassment. But I would have a friend become a commit to helping you with your social media. If you have a question, like, how does this sound? Am I coming off how I want to come off? So things like that, and find inspiration from some non-opera accounts too. How are these people making me feel heard? What is in their content? And I hope that helps. We have some social media resources if you want to check out. If you go to Lucas's blog, there's some social media articles that can get more into depth about than what I'm talking about right now.
It's called the Baritone Blog.
The Baritone Blog.
And if you go there, yeah, I know, but it's it's true. It's called the Baritone Blog, and there's lots of resources out there on there for younger singers. And also, I do a live session every Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. If any of y'all want to come on and join, and on Instagram, and it's every Sunday. We've been doing it for over a year. We got a really great group of people, and they ask questions. We talk about singing, and yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I want to thank this group for chiming in at this moment. I'm going to bid you all adieu for a moment and going to talk a bit about your foundation, Lucas and Irina, if that's all right. So thank you all, LMI folks. Is it all right if we talk a little bit about the Perfect Day Music Foundation and to share this initiative?
Yeah.
Yes, please share with us what it is.
Well, the classical music world is imperfect, and there are definitely areas of improvement to be made to it. And we wanted to be active participants in helping these changes along in whatever small way that we can. So we were researching music to perform, and we had trouble finding music that was more accurately representative of people. And we wanted composers and poets who were historically excluded in the canon of classical music. And it was not as easy accessing that music. So we put our heads together with a few of our friends and our confidants, and we wanted to start an initiative to create opportunities to help facilitate a change in classical music, which is to include music that is a wide, diverse array of people. So we want to spread awareness about these. So our first big project is a virtual voice competition that we began, where we have 4 judges. This year is Angel Blue, Larry Brownlee, David Lomelli, and John Holliday. And they choose singers that are on our social media page who have posted a video of themselves singing an art song, aria, or spiritual that is written by a composer, librettist, poet, or arranger of a person of African descent. And this has been so eye-opening to the repertoire that is so glorious, and in my opinion should be part of the standard repertoire. And how you have a piece become standard is the exposure. And this, our page, the Perfect Day Music Foundation's Instagram page, is just overflowing with this repertoire, and it's accessible for people to listen to it, to perform it, because now they are did the research to find these pieces and they're hearing it. So this was our initiative, was to get the music out there. So this was the first time that we're doing it, and we're in the middle of the semifinal rounds, and the finals will be happening in February, where the 2 winners are chosen. And at the same time, we're facilitating the future of 2 young singers. And in the same vein of your competition, we're offering feedback.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what I find exciting as a voice teacher is that the teachers can go to the Instagram and be exposed to this other repertoire, because something that's weighs on me is people get in their rut of the repertoire that they assign. And I mean, everyone is busy. But to have this resource, to be able to go there and be exposed and be educated of this other repertoire, I mean, I think the place where that can change is in academia. Like, let's assign some different things. Let us widen the canon, but teachers have to be willing to do it, right?
That's it.
So thank you.
Turn on the Shining Night is a beautiful piece, and I loved anytime I got to perform it. Yet Night by Florence Price is extremely beautiful. And it really gets to your soul with how she wrote this beautiful art song, and it can do so much. And Florence Price is one of the many composers that are featured who hasn't had the same opportunities as others. And we'll have the competition again in a few months. So it's going really well, and we want to do it again.
And the foundation
Fantastic.
is about representation, not just for people of color, but also for women and for just underrepresented groups. So the next round of the competition, we will be including composers and poets that are female. So that's going to be the
Wonderful.
next round. So yeah, and it was interesting working. We found that rather than saying what do we want to solve, we found ourselves it's not found it better to work backwards from the problem and to find the solution. And should I tell them a pickleball analogy or no? It's too much. Anyway, I won't tell you my pickleball analogy, but no, it's honestly it's because you hit the nail on the head, Nancy. When you said that it starts with what we teach, you know, and if people don't hear this music, they're not going to perform this music. That's how you figure out. I mean, at least when I was in school, I would listen to other people say, "Oh, I love that piece. I want to sing that," and that's how people start to hear this music. And so the first thing we needed to do is put all this music out there for people to hear it, you know. And then also we found, like Irina said,
and we created a resources page where a lot of these the more frequent composers we give more information about them. We have links on our website to purchasing their sheet music.
This is
Fantastic.
on the perfectdaymusicfoundation.org.
Yes,
you can go there.
Fantastic.
And their albums of this music and the performances are there. YouTube videos. I mean, it's really glorious, and it's accessible.
It's
Yeah.
accessible,
Really,
and then
everything.
that leads to the step where it's suddenly it isn't this special thing we're doing. It can then become part of the normal day-to-day part of the canon.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we founded this foundation in 2019, and we live in Minneapolis. And so as soon as March and April rolled around with George Floyd being murdered, and then the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, coming into its own, it all of a sudden we realized that we were really on target with what we were trying to accomplish. As the need arose, the foundation arose, you know, and so it was like this combination of things. I don't know.
And
it's great.
this is just one thing that we wanted to contribute to it, and we did not want to come in saying we're going to solve everything with it, but it's just one thing that we wanted to offer.
Yeah, but that one thing is so significant, because I think so often, and this came up today even in our entrepreneurial sessions, it can't just, not everything is the biggest moment or the biggest discovery. It's that first moment that then snowballs, grows, and the ripple effect from it. So with all due respect, I think it's a little bigger than you realize, and it changes the perspective, which is huge, in my opinion. So thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to lighten things up a little bit. We always play a game. So Erica Wheeler has come up with a name for this game. We are playing Melismatic Attraction. You may be thinking, what the heck is that? Well, most of us will know it as the couples challenge from Instagram or TikTok. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some questions. You look so concerned, Irina. Your eyes are like, what? So I'm going to go through 15 questions. And all I'm going to ask is, when I ask the question, you're going to decide, does it apply to yourself or does it apply to the person sitting next to you? It's going to be a point. And our folks that are watching, I want you to keep a tally yourself and see how many you get right, you get wrong. You're not going to hear anybody laughing or commenting but me, but we're going to do this. All right. You two ready?
Yes.
I just ask that you be honest. That's all. All right. Who spends more time practicing? Who listens to classical music the most? Who has the more surprisingly versatile musical taste? Who cooks the most? Who is more likely to skip their warm-up? Who is neater? Who is more emotionally moved or charged by music? Who's funnier? Who is more punctual? Okay, okay. Who is more likely to be nervous? Who is more likely to have a performance day wardrobe malfunction?
Think about your cufflinks.
I think about every dress you try on and try another one on after.
Well, they never break.
They never break. Yeah, okay, I guess. Yeah, okay.
Who is more patient? Who rarely makes a mistake in performance? And who is the divo or diva in the house?
Yeah. I couldn't lie.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. I get to understand. Like, you guys basically agreed for the most part. I think there were just two that you were maybe on a little different there. I want to hear more about the wardrobe malfunctions, to be totally honest, but we'll save that for another time. Save that for another time. So I want to take a moment and thank some folks. A very special thanks to our Secret Salon Society members, the College of Liberal Arts, our Living Music Resource Dream Team, Executive Managing Director Brady Bramlett, Amanda Johnson, LMI Co-Director, Erica Wheeler, our LMI Student Director, our fantastic LMI participants, and the most sincere, heartfelt, I wish you could feel my virtual hug to these two amazing artists who have so generously shared knowledge and artistry and openness, Lucas and Irina Meachem. And as well, I'll say it officially in here, I'm hoping that this is truly just the beginning of more collaborative endeavors. You've made impact, and we sincerely appreciate it. So to all of our viewers, remember, the music research revolution continues. See you later.